Welcome back to the deep dive. Look, if you've ever wanted a real shortcut to understanding how your body actually works, not just which exercises to do, but the real foundations, the language of movement, well, you're in the right place today. We're going to really dive deep into movement competency, physical fitness, and some basic human anatomy.
Yeah, our goal today is basically to take like a whole academic course outline on physical foundations and just boil it down to the key things you actually need to know, the actionable stuff. We want you to walk away understanding why these systems matter in your everyday life. They're kind of the silent engines.
Exactly. We're pulling from sources that lay out the connections really nicely, between moving, getting fit, and understanding the basics of your skeleton, muscles, circulation, respiration, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's start right at square one, the language of movement, specifically movement competency.
Movement competency, yeah, it's totally fundamental. It's basically about the skills you need to control your body, whether you're staying put or moving around. If you nail these basic skills, honestly, everything else of sports or complex movements, it just gets easier.
Okay, so I see two main categories here in our notes, locomotor and non-locomotor skills. Can you break that down for us? Give us the quick difference.
Sure. The big difference is basically travel. Are you
Yeah.
moving from A to B? Locomotor skills are all about moving your body through space, covering ground. So walking, running, skipping, leaping. You get the idea. They're your travel skills.
Right. So if locomotor's moving, then non-locomotor must be about staying put, control in one spot.
Precisely. Yeah. These are movements you do without actually going anywhere. Think
Yeah.
about like bending, stretching, twisting, swaying, even pushing or pulling something while standing still. They're key for balance, posture, reacting without falling over. Super important.
Okay, that makes sense. Sets a clear baseline. Now let's hit a big one that even, fitness folks sometimes mix up. The difference between physical activity and exercise. People use them interchangeably, right?
Right.
But they're not the same.
They're definitely not. And it really boils down to intention. If we look at the definitions from Casperson and colleagues back in '85, physical activity is basically any movement your skeletal muscles make that uses energy. So, yeah, climbing stairs, washing dishes, carrying your groceries, it's just moving through life.
Hold on. So if I spend like an hour really vigorously sweeping the floor because I'm annoyed, is that physical activity but not exercise?
Exactly. Because exercise is different. It's a part of physical activity, but it's specific. It has to be planned, structured, repetitive, and done with a purpose, usually to improve or maintain fitness. So going for a scheduled 30-minute jog, that's exercise. Sprinting like mad to catch the bus, that's physical activity. The difference is that plan, that structure.
Hey, that's a really crucial distinction for everyone listening. So once we get how we move, what's the goal we're aiming for? That leads us straight into physical fitness.
Right. And the source material gives a really solid definition here. It says fitness is the ability of an individual to perform daily tasks vigorously and alertly without undue fatigue and still have ample energy left for leisure and emergency demands.
I like that bit, emergency demands. That really shifts fitness away from just looking good, doesn't it? It puts it into like survival and function. What does that actually mean day to day?
Well, it means real fitness lets you handle the unexpected, being able to suddenly lift something heavy or help someone up the stairs or just keep going when things get tough. It supports everything, better posture, aging more gracefully, better coordination, even your mental state.
And this is where it links up with the broader idea of wellness, right? Our sources mention 5 key dimensions. Fitness obviously covers the physical one, but how does it connect with the others? Emotional, mental, spiritual, social.
Oh, it absolutely connects. Exercise is like holistic in that way. Physically active. You often lower stress hormones, boost mood. That hits emotional and mental wellness right there. Things like yoga or even just walking in nature can tap into spiritual wellness for some people. And think about team sports, group fitness classes. That's huge for social wellness. It's really an investment across the board.
Okay, let's break fitness itself down. We've got these 2 main pillars, health-related and skill-related fitness. What's the difference?
So the health-related components are the ones vital for, well, general health, preventing disease, functioning well day to day. These are the big 5 you often hear about. Muscular strength, muscular endurance, flexibility, cardiorespiratory endurance, and body composition.
Right, the essentials for living well. So the skill-related stuff must be more about performance, moving efficiently.
Exactly. These components help you perform better, whether it's in sports or just daily life. Think better coordination, faster reactions. They include things like balance, coordination, reaction time, agility, power, and speed. Want to return a tennis serve fast or, catch a glass before it hits the floor, you're using these skills.
Okay, let's dig into the machinery now. I mean, movement needs structure, right? We need to get into the basic architecture that lets us do all this jumping and bending. Let's start with the skeletal system.
Yeah, the skeleton. It's your body's framework.
Yeah.
Support, protection, even storage. It's made up of bones, obviously. But also tendons, those connect your muscles to your bones, and ligaments. They're like the tough bands holding bones together at the joints. Stability. Oh, and cartilage, the cushiony stuff that protects the ends of bones in your joints.
Right. Adults have 206 bones. But what's like a cool, maybe less known fact about them besides just being scaffolding?
Well, bones are actually incredibly active tissues. They're not static. They're constantly remodeling themselves, breaking down old bone, building new bone. That's ossification. And maybe even cooler, the marrow inside your bones. That's where your red and white blood cells are made. They're like little blood factories.
Blood factories, I like that.
Right.
Simple. Okay, and these 206 bones, they're grouped based on where they are and what they do, right? Two main groups.
Mm-hmm. You've got the axial skeleton. That's your core. Think head, neck, spine, ribs. About 80 bones, its main job. Protection. Your skull protects your brain. Your ribs protect your heart and lungs. Makes sense. Then there's the appendicular skeleton. That's everything attached to the core, arms, legs, shoulders, pelvis. 126 bones there. And these are all about movement, allowing you to interact with the world.
And the big star of the appendicular group has got to be the femur, the thigh bone.
Oh, absolutely. The femur, it's the longest bone in your body, also
Yeah.
the strongest. And the heaviest, which makes sense, right? It has to support pretty much your entire body weight when you move.
Okay, framework covered. Now let's talk about the engine, the muscular system. Something like 650 muscles. What are their key characteristics? Like, what defines a muscle?
Yeah, around 650. And they all share four main properties. They're excitable, meaning they respond to signals, like from nerves. They're contractile, they can shorten, which creates force. That's how you move. They're extensible, meaning they can be stretched out. And importantly, they have elasticity. They can return to their original shape after being stretched.
Okay, excitability, contractility, extensibility, elasticity. Which one of those is maybe the unsung hero for fitness or avoiding injury?
Good question. I'd probably say elasticity. That ability to stretch and then snap back to its original length, that's crucial. It prevents tears when you make sudden moves or reach out quickly. If elasticity is poor, that's often when you get muscle pulls or strains.
Right, makes sense. Now, we know there are different types. Voluntary muscles,
Yeah.
the skeletal ones we control, and involuntary smooth muscles and organs, and the cardiac muscle and the heart. Let's focus on the skeletal muscles, the ones we actually train. They work differently depending on the task, right? Fiber types.
Yes, exactly. We can simplify it down to two main functional types of fibers people talk about. You have your slow twitch fibers, sometimes called type I, red fibers. These guys are built for endurance. They contract more slowly, but they're really resistant to fatigue. Think long distance running or even just holding your posture all day. That's slow twitch work.
Okay, the endurance specialists. And the other type, fast twitch.
Right, fast twitch, types TIIA and IX, kink or white fibers. These are your power and strength muscles. They contract super quickly, generate a lot of force, but they tire out much faster. So lifting heavy weights, sprinting, jumping high, that's primarily fast twitch fibers doing the work. You need both types, obviously, just depends on what you're doing.
Okay, so we've got the structure and the engine, but none of that works without fuel delivery and waste removal, right? This brings us to the body's internal transport network, the circulatory system.
Yeah, the circulatory system is your delivery service. Simple as that. It moves blood, which carries oxygen and nutrients, to all your body's cells. And it picks up waste products, like carbon dioxide, to get rid of them. The main pump, of course, is the heart 4 chambers, and the roads are the blood vessels.
3 types of blood vessels, right? What are they and how are they different?
Yep. You've got arteries, which carry blood away from the heart. They have the thickest, strongest, most muscular walls because the pressure is highest there. Then veins carrying blood back toward the heart. Their walls are thinner, less muscular. And finally, the tiny ones, capillaries. Super thin walls, often just one cell thick. This is where the real action happens, the exchange of oxygen, nutrients, and waste between your blood and your tissues.
And the stuff flowing through these pipes,
Yeah.
the blood itself, what's it made of?
Well, blood's complex, but the key players are. Red blood cells, they're the oxygen carriers. Hemoglobin in them grabs the oxygen. White blood cells, your immune system's soldiers, fighting off infections. Platelets, tiny little things that help your blood clot when you get injured, stop the bleeding. And then plasma, which is the liquid part, mostly water, yellowish. It carries everything, the cells, nutrients, hormones, waste.
Got it. And all this muscle work, all this transport needs a constant supply of oxygen. That brings us to the respiratory system.
Exactly. Its main job is pretty straightforward. Get air, specifically oxygen, into the body, and get waste gas, carbon dioxide, out. Key parts include the pathway air takes, the pharynx back of the throat, larynx your voice box, trachea the windpipe. Then it splits into the bronchi, tubes going into each lung. And deep inside the lungs are the alveoli, millions of tiny, tiny air sacs. That's where the oxygen actually crosses into the blood and CO2 crosses out.
What's the main muscle driving all this breathing?
That would be the diaphragm. It's a big dome-shaped muscle sitting right underneath your lungs. When it contracts, it pulls down, drawing air into the lungs. When it relaxes, air goes out. It's the primary engine for breathing. Actually, having a strong, flexible diaphragm can really improve your endurance and how well you recover.
Okay, we've covered structure, engines, delivery systems, but let's circle back a bit. Why does understanding all this matter? This seems to connect to some of the historical roots of movement education you mentioned.
It really does. Figures like Rudolf von Laban were pioneers here. He's often called the father of modern educational dance. Laban fundamentally shifted how people thought about physical education. It wasn't just about doing drills anymore. He emphasized building awareness of how your body moves, coordination, confidence. And he introduced these 4 core concepts: body, what parts are moving; space, where you're moving; effort, how you're moving fast, slow, strong, light; and relationships, how body parts relate to each other or to objects or to other people.
Huh. So it's not just about doing the movement, but being conscious of the how, the where, the quality of it.
Exactly. It turns movement into something more purposeful, even expressive, rather than just, going through the motions. It builds that mind-body connection.
Okay, that's a great perspective. Now, to wrap things up practically, let's make sure we're all speaking the same language when we talk about how the body moves. We need that standard reference point, the anatomical position. What is it again?
Right, the anatomical position. It's the universal starting point. Standing upright, facing straight ahead, arms down by your sides with palms facing forward and feet together pointing forward. Every movement term like flexion, extension is described relative to this position.
Perfect. So let's quickly run through some common movement pairs. Give us simple, everyday examples. Flexion versus extension.
Easy. Flexion is bending a joint, decreasing the angle, like bending your elbow to bring your hand to your shoulder, or nodding your head yes. Extension is straightening it out, increasing the angle, like straightening your arm or leg.
Okay. How about moving limbs towards or away from the center line of the body?
That's abduction and adduction. Think abduct like taking away. Abduction is moving a limb away from the midline, lifting your arm out to the side. Adduction is moving it toward the midline, bringing your arm back down to your side, adding it back.
Got it. Abduct away, adduct towards. What about turning the forearm like palms up or down?
Right, that's supination and pronation. An easy way to remember. Supination is turning your palm up, like you could hold a bowl of soup in it. Pronation is turning your palm to face down or backward, pouring the soup out.
Soup. Perfect visual. And lastly, the ankle movements, pointing toes up and down and side to side.
For up and down, dorsiflexion is pulling your toes up towards your shin, flexing your foot. Plantar flexion is pointing your toes down, like a ballet dancer on pointing, pressing the gas pedal. And for side to side with the sole of the foot, inversion is turning the sole inward towards the other foot. Ersion is turning the sole outward, away from the other foot.
Wow. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground today, from like the basics of jumping versus just bending, all the way to how your capillaries work in the structure of your thigh bone.
Yeah, it's a lot, but hopefully the big takeaway is seeing how it all connects. Fitness isn't just about exercise, it's about having the physical capacity for a full life. And that capacity is built on this amazing internal architecture. Understanding the difference between a tendon and a ligament, or knowing about those muscle fiber types, it just helps you train smarter, move better, and hopefully stay safer.
So really what this all boils down to is embracing that movement competency, those basic locomotor and non-locomotor skills. That's your foundation. And every time you choose to exercise with intention, you're actively tuning up these incredible systems, muscular, circulatory, respiratory, making them work better for you.
Absolutely. And maybe here's a final thought, connecting back to Laban. Next time you move, whether it's exercise or just daily activity, maybe pause for a second. Are you just completing a task? Or could you think about how you're using space? What effort are you putting in? What's the relationship between your body parts or between you and your environment? Are you building a more conscious connection with your body's amazing potential?
That's a fantastic way to think about it. Move with intention, move with awareness. We really hope this deep dive leaves you feeling more informed and maybe even inspired to connect with your own movement potential.